You ready? Okay, we'll call this meeting order. Jack, you want to lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody tonight at our town board meeting. I'd like to welcome Pete Madarian, who's been absent for quite a while, and he's back as highway superintendent tonight. First item of business, we'll approve the minutes of the April 9th meeting. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make them.
Brian, John, approve the minutes of April 9th, subject correction by the clerk. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, I think we're gonna let the school go and put on a budget, Amy, and.
Yeah.
You do the vote, and we're gonna get out of the way so we don't get blinded by the light.
Get out of the line before. That's you. Over here too. Are you?
Whoa. Just take a minute for the projector to boot up. Okay, good evening, everybody. Thanks for having us here tonight. We did our budget presentation, public hearing.
It's on a timer.
It's on a timer.
I didn't do it.
Huh?
I'm like, I don't know, but
It's okay. You know what? We'll do it this way then. We'll just go through. We'll just do full screen and we'll just click. Okay, that should be good. So those of you who don't know me, I'm Amy Langworthy, superintendent of schools.
Jennifer Switzer, I'm the business manager.
Okay, and we come to the town board each year and do a public presentation of our budget. And if anybody has any questions following, we'll share a little update as well on our capital project that's happening currently, as well as some changes that we're looking forward to in the next year on thereafter, and answer any questions that anybody might have. So with that said, I'm going to have Jen, first of all, just kind of present the numbers and figures for you, and then we'll go through the presentation so that you know kind of what the budget, what we're going to be putting out to vote next week for everybody, and then we'll go from there. Okay. I'll be the clicker. Let me put my glasses on.
This first screen is really about our process that we use. And it's a very collaborative process. The first budget meeting I have with the board is about their goals. And what we have up here is some of the goals that they have. And one of the most important things that I spoke to about our own board is we have a long-range plan, and all of the goals, whether it's at the district level, the building level, and the board for the budget, flow into the long-range plan and the district goals. So again, we're looking to maintain our classes, our choices for our students, improve the technology, provide opportunities and programs for students outside of the classroom. So that's our clubs, our athletics, increase opportunities for CTE and trade programs. We have our own in-house construction trades program, and we're actually looking to hopefully in the next couple of years add a FACS or a food service CTE program. Sensitivity to the economic climate and tax levy burden. With so much uncertainty out there, we were definitely very sensitive to that this year, and knowing not just from the school's perspective what might trickle down, but the same thing happening in your own households. And one of the other things that we take a strong look at is our enrollments from year to year, because as you know, enrollments have declined. They've pretty much leveled off over the last 2 to 3 years, but we are down to about 600 students in the district.
And just to tag on to what Jen said about our CTE trades program, couple years ago, we did, and I mentioned it here previously as well, we did complete and apply for our own New York State certification CTE construction trades program. So it's equivalent to the construction trades program that students would go to at BOCES, yet they wouldn't have to travel to BOCES for it. We did hire our own in-house teacher for it. We have students from Queensbury and other districts that participate in our construction trades program. So we're fortunate to have that. Okay, I'm obviously going to have to keep touching something so it stays active. So we're really happy about that. And when Jen mentioned we would like to expand our CTE opportunities for students, obviously we can't provide some programs for students, such as like heavy equipment that BOCES have. We just don't have the facilities to do that kind of program. But we certainly can offer some business CTE options, potentially some graphic arts options, which can be CTE certified, culinary options, and I'll talk a little bit about that when we get into our capital project improvements and some of those areas that we're upgrading so that we have the capabilities to do that. What that does is it allows us to keep more students in-house for CTE certified programs, not traveling for an hour down to BOCES on a bus, have more opportunities for actually career exploration and internship opportunities as part of that because they'll have more time. And it will allow us to keep them, if we're not sending them to BOCES, that's roughly about $14,000 per student for tuition for CTE programs. So it has a lot of benefits if we can offer those, as many as we can in-house reasonably with staffing that we have and opportunities that we have within a larger community. Anything else? Nope.
This is a little summary of what's changed. This is kind of at a high level. We had quite a few retirements this year, and we did reduce the staff. And again, as I mentioned up there, through retirement, one teacher in the elementary school, a half of a library position. We still will need to find someone for a half of a library position, and one elementary school office staff. We actually had someone who retired at the very beginning of this year, and so that's why we won't be replacing that person next year. Some of the other things, the district, both last year and this year, so double-digit increases in health insurance. Our special education cost continued to increase, and it's not just this school district, but many other school districts, especially small rural school districts that are economically disadvantaged. We see that a $250,000 decrease in debt service. But how a school works is when the debt service or the cost of the debt to the district goes down, so does our aid for that as well. So it's kind of a neutral. And then probably one of the bigger issues that we faced was the foundation aid. Although we did get a 2% increase, we were what was under a hold harmless. That was always a guaranteed 3% increase, which translates roughly to about $100,000 loss in revenue in state aid to the district this year.
And we did have staffing cuts last year as well, again, through retirement. That's really the best way to do it. When people retire, look at the trends in enrollment, see if we need to adjust staffing where we can. In some cases we can, in some cases we can't. There are certain requirements, but we did have some staffing cuts last year and again this year, again through attrition, so that we're not doing massive cuts across the board. We're trying to do it thoughtfully and with a good plan in place.
So getting down to the numbers, because we had some of the decrease in staff, we were able to, in the decrease in the debt service, we held our increase this year to only $27,769 or 0.12% increase. So again, we did this thoughtfully and with the ability to keep all of our programs that we currently have and all of our extra classroom or extracurricular and sports as well. So we actually started this process in October with our with our administrative team. So worked hard to get this to this point. This is just gives you an idea of where the money is spent. About 70% of the budget are salaries and wages and benefits, as in most, even municipalities, school districts, we're a service organization. We rely heavily on staff. I just wanted to kind of point out the 12% for BOCES again. So this includes all of the services that BOCES provides, whether it's to our special education students for our CTE programs, and then a lot of the technology that they help support as well, software, hardware that we purchase through them as well. Again, debt service makes up about 5% of the budget, and the other is anything from supplies and materials, textbooks, and the operation of the physical buildings. So that's all of our buildings and grounds, fuel, oil, electricity, all of that good stuff. Good. Yep. This is just a summary of where our revenues come from. We have three main sources. I talked a little bit about the state aid. Not only do we get foundation aid, but we also get aid for expense-driven costs. So it's building aid, it's transportation aid, it's additional aid that we get for our special education programs. Local property taxes and the other sources are somewhat, you may all be familiar with, interest, charges, rent, those types of things like that. And one of the other things that we rely on is using our fund balance. I'm pretty sure those of you that are board members know what a fund balance is. That's pretty much the savings that we have that we can utilize to offset the budget from year to year. One of the difficulties that we have in a school district is the expense-driven aids that I was speaking about. We spend it in 1 year, we get the aid on it in the next year. So if we see fluctuations, like an additional $250,000 in special education, we tap into our fund balance to help us balance the budget from year to year.
If anybody has any questions too as we're going through it, feel free to ask. Anything you're not sure of or it doesn't make sense.
I have a question.
Sure.
When you went back to the double-digit increase in health insurance,
Yeah.
how much do your teachers and staff pay on towards their health insurance?
It's contractual, and so it's anywhere from 6% to a high deductible insurance.
But 6% isn't even what the norm is today. Most union contracts are 25% or
So-
reaching 25%. They're
So-
only paying 6%. They're getting a good deal.
So it's also 6% on a high deductible. So we're talking about programs that have a $3,000 deductible for a family or a $2,000 deductible for a single. And the 6% are our CSEA members. So they are our clerical staff, our grounds people, those that basically everybody else besides the teachers. So
what's that equate to a percentage? If I was to,
as far as
because I deal with all the unions through the county.
Yep.
And every one of our unions at the county are almost at the 25% threshold.
Yep.
And what's it equal for the?
it's probably about a third of our of the insurance costs that we have for our CSEA.
What we've done too the last couple of years, because we had to negotiate with the Teachers Association and the CSEA Association the last 2 years. And also we have the administrator's contract as well. So, which is just a handful of people. But what we did is we transitioned. So we have basically 3 different programs. We have the HRA, which is the least expensive program. And then we have a PPO, alt PPO. So what we did is we gave, well, 2 things, actually more than 2 things, but we gave a larger buyout for people who opted not to take insurance through the school, but maybe they could get it through a spouse or something else. So we increased that buyout for them. So that way we had them less. We did have about, I think around 8 or 10 additional people who took that buyout. Even though the buyout was more, for us, it was a no-brainer because it was a longer savings for us. The other thing that we did is we are now any new staff members that come on. So we had kind of like grandfathered in. So any new staff members that come on, whether teachers or CSEA members, are required to take the HRA plan, which is the least expensive plan and has some more some more kind of caveats with it that make it a little bit more maybe potentially expensive for them, but less expensive for the district. And so if they want to if they want to take another higher price plan, they have to pay 100% of the difference. So we've tried to, because you have a lot of people who are in a particular plan who are existing members. So as we transition and those people retire, then all the new members will participate in the HRA plan. But one of the other issues that came up with, and Jen is certainly more well-versed in this than me. She's been on the Health Insurance Trust Consortium through BOCES, is that the Trust Consortium at BOCES has seen significant deficits in what they expected post-COVID with the cost and what the income, the revenues that they anticipated from it. So there's been double-digit increases for all school districts in the BOCES last year and this year that we had to try to absorb as best that we could after this year. So we put in place, the consortium put in place a 2-year plan to catch that up. And then roughly after that, there should be, they're seeing about just a general 7 to 8% increase following that. That's the goal after they do the catch up from the last few years. So that's been difficult for schools to deal with as well.
But you got to
that
understand
was
the taxpayers
unanticipated.
who work in private enterprise or for government are paying like 25%.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, that should be the goal.
Right.
It's
Well,
not
and so-
outrageous. It took us since 2012 to get all the employees up to that percent. You had to do it gradually, but you should try to set a goal and get
So-
there with double-digit increases. in
Right,
health
so the
insurance.
6 and the, so there's 6% for CSEA, 8% for the teachers. The all PPO plan, it's either 17% or 22%.
Yeah.
So our contracts are headed up in that
Yeah.
direction.
So that we're trying to discourage people from taking that because not only is it a more expensive plan for the district, it's a lot more expensive for them because they are upwards toward the 20% mark if they continue to take that plan. And then any new members have to pay 100% of the difference, so it's even more costly to them. So more of them. The other option that the consortium is looking at is what's
The health savings.
the health savings as an
Versus,
additional
yeah,
plan
yeah.
coming on, to save money as well.
And 50% of our health insurance costs are from retirees, which unfortunately, Amy and I were not part of any of the negotiations. We have some retirees paying nothing.
Yeah.
So that's something that that's something that
And
we're
that was a
always,
benefit that was put in place years ago, so
Long
there are many
before-
retirees that aren't paying
Well-
anything that we still have to,
yeah.
we
And
still
long
have to
before-
manage.
But
the-
the public is still paying.
Well,
That's-
of
that's
course.
keep it-
Yes,
Of course.
yes, yeah, yep, definitely.
But that's something that's out of our control now, so we're trying to do what we can now to keep
Well,
those
hopefully
costs
the
down.
contract's going forward.
Right, yeah. They all have increases, accelerations and their contributions.
And actually, our district, even with the HRA at 8%, is significantly
is one of the
higher.
highest districts.
It's one of the highest percentages than most of the other districts when we did our review of data before we even started negotiating. So I know it doesn't seem like it, but it is. So yeah, I know. What next, Jen?
This is the revenue, somewhat similar to what you saw, the expenses. This gives you an idea of where our revenues come from. Again, we rely very heavily on state and federal aid, that's 56%. The tax levy is 35% of our overall revenues. And then you can see some of the smaller amounts that we have, that fund balance that you see there. That's what we utilized this year, along with appropriated reserves. So not only does the district have unappropriated fund balance, but we have a very healthy reserve program. And this is coming both from the employee retirement system, some of the increases that we saw there. We have an employees retirement system, teachers retirement system reserve as well. And the other part of the reserves that we're using is a capital equipment reserve. We are purchasing a piece of equipment for our grounds personnel, and that's going to be utilized for that as well. This is just kind of recapping where we've just been talking about. We already talked about the $27,000 increase of the 0.12%. The tax levy is going up 2% this year, which is $161,335 increase from the current levy. Again, trying to keep in mind what's going on in the economy. We are well within our tax cap because our tax cap is actually over 5%. So this helped us both, again, with the fund balance and the small increase that we got in foundation aid, keep all of our programs going. This, again, I think sometimes it helps visually to see things. The blue line is actually our budgets, and the kind of orange colored line are the tax levies. So this is kind of demonstrating to you the fact that we have the appropriated fund balance and reserves, and we've utilized those, and that's why you kind of see that flattened out versus the incline in the expenses. So again, we've tried very hard to make sure that if we have had surplus, that we put it into the reserves so that we can attack some of those expenses that come up, like a new tractor, like increases in
Fuel cost.
electricity, any of those types of things. But again, sometimes seeing the numbers, I thought this was a really good graphic so people can understand what we're trying to do, and keeping the tax levy, being very cognizant of that, keeping it pretty much as flat as we possibly can.
I have a question.
Yep.
When we do a reval,
Mhm.
obviously you get more taxable money. Why wouldn't the rate drop more? It should drop because if your assessed value goes up and your budget stays the same, you divide it into the same amount of money, your tax rate should go down. Now, I know here in the town, we dropped our rates 25%
Mhm.
because of the reval.
So there's a difference between the tax levy and the tax rates.
Mhm.
So the tax
Some people's
rates
taxes
did go down, but
Right.
there's also 8 towns within
Oh, I
our
understand
school
that.
district.
I know,
So-
they're all different.
But I think our
What's the Warrensburg rate? The Warrensburg.
the
rate is out.
Warrensburg rate is about $9 and maybe
So that's
38 or
not bad.
40 cents.
Mhm.
Yes, it went down almost $1.
Makes sense.
Yep.
So yes, you're right. Some people, even though they were reassessed, their taxes did go down.
Right.
Yes.
You had that
Yeah,
That-
I know.
a third.
Every year.
One of the things that we focused on as far as getting information out to the public, and that was part of our newsletter, is again, we're required to have so much information, and a lot of it's numbers in there that most people don't, you just gloss over it. So we wanted to give people an idea of what we spend the money on. And it's really a pretty broad view of what we do, what we spend our money on. So again, 85 students participate in Drama Club. That's both at the elementary and the junior senior high. We have 70 elementary students in our after school program in the zone, and that's a program that runs from 3 to 5 every day and is no cost to any of our parents. We have 8 early college classes that range anywhere from math, science,
In each department,
languages.
that equates to potentially 24 to 26 credits, depending on the class, which is a full year's worth of college. So it can save actually a student an entire year's worth of college if they take advantage of those classes before they leave high school.
So we have our pathways, I think over to the right, those are we have 33 high school students in pathways programs. So again, some of those include some of the early college, but also a lot of those include, again, the CTE programs that we have. So we're trying to address the needs of all of our students and not just one
And we're
sector.
really addressing kids who might be college bound and giving them as many opportunities before they leave school, and as well as the students who are going into more of the trades or skilled laborers, and giving them as many opportunities before they leave so that they're more prepared for either college or the workforce.
105 of our students receive academic intervention support. So those are students who need assistance in whether it's reading, math, and that's usually both in class and after school. 308 students in our athletics programs that we have 3 seasons.
And that's just your 7 through 12, so that's a significant
That's-
number.
We have 5, and as of the writing of this, we had, again, I mentioned about 600 students at the very beginning. We have 509 students pre-K through 12. And the one that I haven't touched on yet is we have 20 students in a full-day pre-kindergarten. And Amy will talk to you a little bit more about what we have planned for next year for pre-K.
Yeah, I'll just mention it now since it's on here. So this past year, we switched our pre-K program, which is for 4-year-olds, and it's students who are 4 years old on or before December 1st. That's the UPK guidelines through the state and requirements. So we switched that from 2 half-day programs this year to a full-day program. So we were able to max out at 20 students. I think we ended up having 4 or 5 on the wait list this year. So then we always do our enrollment pre-registration early on. So we took a look at that. We can get additional funding through the state to cover the cost of a second classroom. So next year we're adding a couple of things come to play here. There's a lot of concern for daycare and supervision in our, not just in our area, but in many areas, particularly rural areas are difficult for daycare. It's expensive for daycare for families. So if we can open up another pre-K classroom for 4-year-olds, that hopefully will take a little burden off some of the families. It is a full day, so we're opening up a second classroom, so we can potentially take an additional 20 up to 40 students in our pre-K. The other factor that came into play is Head Start is uncertain about their continued funding, which funds for 3 and 4-year-olds in our region, which would be also a big loss for our families if the Head Start programs were no longer funded. So we are anticipating that potentially if their funding is either eliminated or decreased, which again, that's uncertain right now, that their 4-year-olds or incoming 4-year-olds would be able to fit into our pre-K programs. And in some cases, the parents might want them to attend our pre-K over Head Start because ours is actually a full day, and Head Start, I think, finishes around 1:30 or 2 in the afternoon. So it would be more convenient, especially if families have additional children in the elementary school, if they were able to attend. So we're opening up a second classroom of pre-K for the coming school year.
I mentioned the next slide will be about the equipment. We are leasing 2, it's actually not 3, it's 2 66 passenger buses. We did a study this year on the electric buses. Actually, it took us almost a year and a half to get the study done. And we found, and the board was not comfortable moving forward with the purchase of an electric bus for a variety of reasons. Probably one of the biggest is we have routes in the town and some of the surrounding towns that we could not utilize an EV bus. The
It would be
science behind
stalled.
it's
It would be
changing.
stalled out in Thurman somewhere. So unless
Yes.
there's a charger
A charger,
on South Johnsburg Road, we're going to be in trouble.
and even if there's a charger, which is what one of the consultants asked us, it really doesn't help us to get kids to school if you can't. I mean, if you can't make it, you can't make it. So that was definitely one. The other is some of the funding that's out there, some of the uncertainty of the funding, how it could be utilized and stacked. And so until there's more information, the board wasn't comfortable because in addition to that is the infrastructure that we need. So we're talking about charging stations, we're talking about increased load that we would need. So to make that commitment to that, we have to be really sure and have a really good plan in place. And hopefully the state is headed into the direction where not only will we get more time to do this, but we're hoping that there also will be, for us, some exemptions. The small rural school districts, especially with our topography, are going to be in big trouble. We would have to increase our fleet, probably another 3 or 4 buses if we if we're made to go with EV buses.
Yeah, to go with a full EV fleet, we would have to have minimal additional 3 EV buses to the tune of over 400,000, a piece. There is funding for some of that, or to offset some of that funding has gone away. It's uncertain. And like Jen said, the fleet study is, we do have some routes that the EV buses would not allow to accommodate for that. Plus, in addition to field trips, athletic trips, things such as that, it wouldn't be possible for us to manage all of that. So potentially, we're hoping that I don't think that it will go away, but I do think that there might be some leeway for some either extensions in timelines, and the technology is constantly changing for electric vehicles, and it's continuously getting better and better and better, which is good. Hopefully too, the cost will come down at some point or to some extent. But the other thing is that with the EV buses, there are some routes that we could do with an EV bus. Our in-town routes could probably be done with an EV bus, or even perhaps some of our vans that we're using could be a hybrid or something along those lines. That would be reasonable, I would think, for them to allow school districts to come up with a plan for what is feasible from a cost perspective and from your routing perspective and what you're using and what kinds of vehicles you have. You probably could do some things, either a hybrid or electric, but in a district like ours and many of our rural districts across New York State and really across the country, it's just with the technology that's in place now, it will not work. And not to mention the training of the drivers, the training even of our local fire department is also a need that we have, in those cases. Our mechanics, it's very different, working on an electric bus versus the traditional bus. So there's a lot of pieces that have to come into play to pull all of that off. So we decided that we would just pause and not put an EV bus on the docket for vote. So
this is what I spoke to earlier, the piece of equipment specifically for snow removal for our facilities. That's $56,000. That's we have to get the public's approval to spend that money.
And that has to do with our upgrades to our high school parking lot, which we'll talk about just when we get to the capital project. So
we have 2 seats open for board right now. Unfortunately, we only received 1 candidate. We only had enough petitions for just 1 candidate. This has probably been the biggest question that I've gotten from the press. Nothing about our budget, but what are you going to do? It's just like your town budget, your town votes. There's write-ins. So there can be a write-in, and whoever have the most votes for the write-in would be that second position. So,
and if there are no write-ins, then the board does have the authority to appoint somebody for a 1-year term and then repost and then vote next year. Yeah.
But I think I'm sure you all know, it's hard to find people who want to devote that much time. They don't get paid anything.
Like your job, it's thankless.
Yes. And
a
it
lot of
takes
time.
them a lot of time. And this is just some of the basic information that it's next Tuesday from 12 to 8, right outside the junior high school gym. You can still request an absentee ballot, an early mail ballot from our office. One of the rules is that you just have to have it returned to us by 5 p.m. on the date of the election. Your actual ballot, that is. And that's all I have as far as numbers.
Does anybody have questions on anything in the presentation?
I just had a question.
Sure.
What's the class size of the kindergartens now?
About 50. Almost most of them. We have one grade level that was this year's current 4th grade. It's only around 33 or 34. So we dropped to 2 sections in that grade level. All of our grade levels now are only at 3 sections. Yeah. But most of them are staying steady right around the 50 mark. Anywhere generally from like 48 to 53, somewhere around there. So yeah, which we're actually in better shape. Like I know Lake George's elementary class sizes the last probably 4 or more years have been close to like in the 20s and low 30s. Yeah. So
Maybe consolidation, we see it worse with, taking sports, for instance, you
Yeah.
got football, soccer, we're consolidating with other schools because of lack of athletes, right?
Yeah.
There's been talk over the years about with declining enrollment.
Mhm.
One campus instead of two, I mean, is that, you ever see that gonna happen? How many, is it like 50-50 almost, from elementary and?
The elementary has more. They're a little bit higher than the high school. And, we probably have anywhere from 50 to 60 students in either building that kind of move in and out throughout the years. Throughout the year, I would say it's somewhere around there. It's a little bit higher than it used to be with people moving in and out and, renting or staying with somebody and then be here. And then they might be in Johnsburg, then they might be in Hudson Falls and things like that. But, consolidation. So this comes up every year. So yeah, when you talk about consolidation of the buildings, that would be difficult to do with all of the requirements, regulations, particularly as it relates to intervention service, special education requirements, programs, small classes, things like that. And they're never, for those of you in the room who attended Warrensburg, there never really was one building. There was another facility up where the current high school sits now, which was a middle school, which housed grades 4, 5, and 6. And even up there were those portable trailer classrooms. And then down at the elementary school, there was portable trailers out there too. So it was kind of a hodgepodge of facilities that were being used to accommodate all the students, and so that's why ultimately in 1992 the junior senior high school was built, because to get rid of the portable classrooms at the elementary school, the whatever kind of building that was where the high school was. I'm not sure what it was, and then there was also portable trailers out there, 3 or 4 of them too. So there never really was one building to house all the students. But what I think that is more doable, and there are discussions throughout the state on the idea of regionalization. And it kind of speaks to a little bit of what's happened with athletics in most of our small towns and rural districts. So, if you can get athletics to merge, you can probably make most things merge. And not necessarily merge, but how do you provide, and the state's basic premise behind regionalization is how do you get districts to work together so that all the students in rural districts have the same opportunities as students in large suburban districts, who might be able to have IB programs or 20 more electives or things like that. And the only way you're going to do that, right, is if you have more students. You have to have more students because there's only so many classes you can offer with a certain number of enrollment. So we just completed this year, all schools this year in the state completed a pretty lengthy survey from the state on regionalization. What are people doing now that could be expanded? And even informally, we have a smaller group called True North that Warrensburg is the largest school district in it, but it's Warrensburg, Johnsburg, Indian Lake, Long Lake, Scroon Lake, Minerva, North Warren, Bolton has joined us as well. So there's 9 of us in the True North group. And we've even talked about, because it's been very difficult, we've been fortunate that we've been able to pretty much fill most of our staffing positions. Not all, or it's taken a little bit longer than maybe previously, but some districts have been without math teachers or science teachers for 2 years, nurses without, things like that. So there's been a lot of discussion even within our smaller North Country schools about, can we, using technology, which may not be as ideal as you'd like it to be, through an either synchronous or asynchronous approach, if you have a calculus teacher, can we figure out a way that our students can get calculus perhaps from your staff member and figure out how, so though more of those conversations are. Yeah, and so a couple of things is schedules are problematic sometimes. but using kind of an asynchronous approach where a teacher, which I mean by that, is a teacher basically delivers a lesson to a group, it's recorded, and then potentially a student in another district could, but you still have to have a mechanism in place for that student to get help when they need it, to submit their work, all of that, to still have access to the teacher on some level. So those discussions are happening for not only due to enrollment concerns, but also for staffing concerns, because it's becoming increasingly difficult to staff those positions. So I think you might see something more along the lines. And so the benefits of something like that with regionalization is you don't have to have a vote, right? Because every district, when two districts have tried to merge, take recently, Johnsburg and Minerva had that discussion, right? And it didn't go anywhere. Glens Falls and Abe Wing have had that discussion multiple times, right? Because the district whose taxes are going to go up are never going to vote. Why would you? I wouldn't vote to have my taxes go up. I don't think anybody here would vote to have their taxes go up. So, but with regionalization and looking at from a programmatic standpoint, you don't have to worry about that part of it. So I think that's more likely to occur than, anything else. But I think it could be potential savings. I think you could see potential savings in potentially sharing maybe some business services, some like BOCES, like what BOCES can offer, but maybe on a smaller scale. So I think there's a lot more opportunities and a lot more discussion happening now for not only enrollment purposes, but staffing has become a big problem for most school districts. Yeah. So, yeah. So just a quick update. We are underway with the $13.5 million capital project. Everybody thinks the high school is a new building because it's the newest of the two buildings, but it was built in 1992. So just about everything in it was 30 years old plus when the project was planned. So right now we do have CS Arch is our architect firm, and CNS as our construction management firm. They're on site every day. Bass Hatfield is our general contractor for the project. We obviously have every other basically contractor available is mechanical, electrical, plumbing as well, that we meet with every 2 weeks, and the project's going really well. Science classrooms in the high school are being upgraded. All of those are being updated now. We are doing some infrastructure changes in the district too. Fuel tanks are being replaced in both sites. When we talked about the parking lot at the high school is going to be reconfigured so that there is a bus drop-off spot and a separate student drop-off area, lane, I should say. Right now, there is only one. It tends to be a safety issue because everybody's walking in front of the buses and things like that. So our architect company and civil engineers have designed a layout that will allow for buses to come down one lane, drop-offs can come in another lane next to the buses, and then people who are parking will come in a separate area and park. So hopefully it'll make it safer for everybody there. The boilers are being replaced at the high school, which they're original. And so in the classroom areas, our construction trades, CTE, the old shop area, is getting a complete renovation. So that'll be a great upgrade for that program. Our FACS, what typically was known as Home Ec, then changed to Home and Careers. Now it's known as FACS, Family and Consumer Science. That is getting a complete upgrade as well. We're hoping to do some CTE options in our culinary program with that upgrade. We are adding a graphic arts lab next to our art room in the high school. So that'll allow students to do more with graphic arts and media, potentially offering more electives and opportunities for students in those careers as well. And we are adding a collaboration space, which is just a larger classroom area with more group gathering space at the end of one of our wings. And that will allow not only for different classes to take place in there and clubs, but we are taking one section of that and making it into an esports area, which is really taking off. We have an esports club. One of our teachers, Justin Gray, is leading that. And there are now actually college scholarship opportunities for students to go into esports. So we're excited about that as well. And any other classroom renovations that
The
I
science,
forgot the science classrooms, yeah.
our athletic director.
Yep, or is
Got
moving.
misplaced.
He got displaced,
He
yes,
got
moving
displaced,
office,
yeah.
but yeah. So those are some of the big areas that we're working on right now. So it's going well. Most of it should be in place for the start of the school year. So we got a little late start because it was held up at state ed for a long time, but we're making good progress, and the contractor's been great to work with. So we have that. I mentioned the pre-K program as well. And we are another area too that's kind of unique to Warrensburg is we do, even though we're a small rural district, we do have a Warrensburg Student Enrichment Foundation, which is a separate nonprofit from the district. And that is the foundation that helps to fund our zone program, which I think many of you are familiar with, but if you're not, it's a free after-school enrichment program for students in our elementary school. We've had up to 100 students participate in it. It's available from 3 to 5 every day after school. So parents, it's no cost to parents for their child to participate. It allows supervision after school. They do everything from field trips to arts to cooking to STEM and a variety of activities. So we're pretty proud of that. We're one of the only schools in our whole region that offers that. And it also helps fund Camp Inspire program, which is a leadership development program for students in grades 7 through 9 that's expanded. And I think last year, it even, for students who started out in it, even became leaders in training. It's a full day of a camp experience for 1 week, and then follow-up sessions that they do throughout the year on developing leadership skills for our junior, senior high school. And our foundation has also funded other enrichment opportunities that teachers have wanted to take students on. They submit a letter to the foundation as to what they're asking for, and the foundation basically has funded several things. From there was a special program for recycling and environmental education we funded. We funded some field trips, special field trips for groups in both entire grade levels or for the arts that we've helped fund. So it's a pretty we have a separate board of directors that meets every month to try to figure out ways to raise money and provide more enrichment opportunities for students. So we're pretty proud of that as well. And it's kind of unique to our district. So those are some of the kind of highlights we wanted to share with all of you tonight. And if you have any questions, please ask.
Anybody else? I went to Fells Hall for 5th grade, so. And I know how.
Yet another facility.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your time
Thanks,
tonight.
Brad.
Thanks, ladies.
Okay. Go on with the rest of our program. Yeah. Town clerk's report. Thanks. Thank you again.
Night, girls.
This is April 2025's report, and it's, let's see, marriage licenses, $87.50. Faxes and photocopies, $15.50. Certified copies, $100. Landfill fees and punch cards, $26,000 and $2. Let's see, dog licensing, $160. Building permits, $198.25. Sewer charges, septic permits are $70. Total local shares remitted, $26,643.25.
Supervisor's report for April. Total monies on hand, $4,035,619.64. Assessor.
Assessor report for May, the 2025 tentative rolls have been completed, have been delivered to the town clerk. They came by, it can be viewed in person at either town clerk's or assessor's office at Warrensburg Town Hall during business hours. A link to the tentative rolls may be found online on both town and county websites. Pursuant to section 526 of the real property tax law, your assessor will be in attendance with the tentative roll on May 7th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., May 8th from 11 to 3 p.m., May 14th, 4 to 8 p.m., 17th, 11 to 3 p.m. Set hours availability have been posted on the town hall, the bulletin board, outside the town clerk's office, and published in the Post-Star newspaper on May 1st, as mandated by the state of New York. Public notice be advised in the local paper on or about May 1st. This notice has also been posted on the town website, on the assessor's bulletin board in the hallway. Board of Assessment Review will meet on Tuesday, May 27th, between the hours of 4 and 8 p.m. Town Hall. Anyone wishing to agree to their assessments can find the appropriate paperwork online at New York State website, www.tax.ny.gov.
Okay, let's see, Justice.
Yeah, this is prepared by Leanna Malley. April 2025. Judge Fisk had 73 cases, $5,245 in fine, $360 in fee, $2,069 in surcharge. Judge Perillo had 64 cases, $4,245 in fine, $190 in fee, $1,867 in surcharge. Total new cases for April was 121. Total received April, 13,976. Town share, $5,337.
On the dog control, we had one complaint for the month of May so far. It was on May 12th. It was handled by our dog, picked up the dog and took it to the vet. You have the landfill, John?
I do, yep.
Okay.
Oh, as to date, we're $15,769 and change to the good. Once again, the landfill is under great leadership up there, doing a great job, and yeah, I can't say the scales are working up.
Yeah, we're starting to see some savings with the county hauling
Yep.
the hauling costs now, so. Planning zoning,
There were 4 septic and 6 land use development permits issued the month of April. The planning board set on Tuesday the 6th and started the review of the site plan for the EMS properties located at 1 Mill Ave and 101 River Street properties. They have adjourned the matter to their next meeting for June, the EMS to submit additional plans and information. The zoning board does not have a meeting due to lack of applications.
okay, enforcement.
Responded to a complaint of trash at 29 Berwick Avenue. Traveled with the town assessor to properties on Justin Lane. Research parcel 169.4-1-21 for correct land designation. Property owner of 148 Jenny Jill has sent a court appearance. Property has been cleaned up. Met with the head of the Overlook Homeowners Association in Green Mansions regarding who and what properties held short-term rental permits. Clarified some misinformation with regard to our town law. Property at 68 Hudson Street was cleaned up after a court notice was sent. 29 Berwick Avenue, the cleanup is underway. Sent a court notice to the owner of 56 Lake Avenue for code violation 145-4D. Also Warren County Building Codes on the open foundation pole that was created under the county demolition permit. Checked 6 Marion Avenue prior to court for compliance. Advised the court the condition was corrected. Sent a warning notice to 32 King Street for rubbish on the property. Forwarded a complaint of the party complaining of persons digging Echo Lake to DEC. Received a complaint of trash and garbage at 3898 Main Street. Owner was warned the property was cleaned as requested. Updated a short-term rental permit for 1391 Spoon River Road. Replied to DOT on the issue of a curb cut. Issued a fireworks for Echo Lake Live displays to be May 3rd. The sheriff was notified. Reviewed the APA report for property 197-1-29. An APA permit is not required. Notified the assessor that the property was going from vacant to a storage facility. Replied to short-term rental questions. If one permit covers 2 locations, it does not. Inspected leach field repairs at 16 Danube Drive. Photos were taken. A report was placed in a file along with the as-built. And the fireworks that was scheduled for Echo Lake Lives was canceled, and the sheriff was also notified of that.
Thank God it's been raining, so it's no more May, right?
Get ready for June.
Highway.
During the month of April, we've hauled material and graded all seasonal roads to make them ready for summer traffic. We did spend some time over at the River Road for the Hudson River Special Management Area. We had a meeting with DEC on May 8th, 2025 to discuss different alternatives for the area. We have completed sweeping all the roads throughout town and have started in the Hamlet area also. We plan on completing them in the near future if the rain stops. We will finish the brush and leaf pickup for spring. The Gold Street Drainage Project is finished with only some minor restoration work left to do. So far, the drainage project has been successful and has taken all the recent rainwater very well. The demolition on the 11 King Street property, the former highway garage, has been completed. The highway crew did some great work leveling off the site, removing brush, and removed the old box trailer. We're currently getting quotes on paving projects for the summer and helping out preparing base area for the pole barn at the landfill. That's fine.
Yeah.
KJ Olden, deputy.
I'd like to thank KJ Olden for filling in for 7.5 months when Pete's been off his medical disability. And KJ's done a good job, and we're chugging right along in the highway. There's been a lot going on. And a little update on the demolition project. The DEC came in and wanted us to drill 8 test wells because they weren't happy with the way some of the soil results ended up, and now they've changed their mind. We're going to cut it in half. We're going to do 4 test wells, and then we should have a clean bill. I'm assuming we're going to have a clean bill of health over there, but that will take place, I think, tomorrow on KJ's where what's going to go on. Also, the Girl Scouts, we have reports from beautification, parks and rec, and sewer water, and those guys have all been busy. Now that the rain's stopped, they'll be out cutting grass, I guess. So all the machines are ready to go. We just had the rain stop. Everybody's doing a good job getting ready for Memorial Day. The Girl Scout Troop 3563 was supposed to be here tonight. Mackenzie Ferron is the troop leader. Unfortunately, all the girls are on softball, and with all the rainouts, they're playing softball tonight. So I said I would pitch in for them. What they want to do is put a small garden in at the tot lot. We're under the sign going to the recreation fields up there, and I don't see any problem. Is the board okay with that?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So that will let them know. Also, I'd like to thank the guys down at the Chinese restaurant. One of the boys does graphic work, and he put together this apron down here, or tablecloth down here for free, didn't charge us, and that's what Judy used to go to the job fair at the high school, which she won first prize, whatever the prize they gave up there. Judy put together something in about a day and went up there, and we got quite a few applications for our summer rec program, so it was pretty successful for us. And I think she'll do more of those in the future. It went very well for us. And the school gave their presentation. Richards Library had requested a letter of support for a grant they're applying for. It's Adirondack Rural Revitalization Program, and I wrote a support letter, and the grant they're applying for is $15,000, and it's to work on the library around the chimney and up there. So it's certainly to keep that building in shape, and hopefully they'll be successful getting this grant. So we sent that along so they can do that. Now we have a motion. I need a motion to approve the bid on 2 properties. I guess we should do them separately.
Yeah, we prepared 2 separate resolutions.
Yeah, so I asked Pam, we'll do the first one would be the Harrington Hill Road property, and that bid came in at $270,000, and we've decided to accept that bid. So that has to be a roll call.
Yes.
Roll call vote. Pam, so if
I
you
just
would-
want to make sure the board members all have a copy of the full resolution. It is subject to this referendum.
Yeah.
So we have to post the referendum notice. We've given the town clerk
Yeah.
notices to be published.
So it's still going to be 30 days
Yeah,
before.
months before
before-
anything.
So
Councilperson Alexander?
Yeah,
Councilperson Williams?
Yes.
Supervisor Garrity?
yes.
Councilperson Suffolk?
Yes.
Councilperson
Yes.
Quintel? Thank you.
Okay, the second one is on the
Okay.
yeah, that was the alternate, or that was
You did Harrington, huh?
Harrington Hill, and it'll be the Alden Avenue, the $71,000, right?
Yes.
Okay. Same deal.
Who's first and second on
I'll make the motion.
John?
Yeah. Right over here.
Councilperson Alexander?
Yes.
Councilperson Rob?
Yes.
Supervisor Garrity?
Yes.
Councilperson Supple?
Yes.
And Councilperson Lee?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
And then the Swan Street bid didn't really come close to what the appraised value of that, so I'll need a motion to reject that bid.
I'll make that motion.
John, second?
I'll second.
Second by Robert to reject the bid on 35 Swan Street. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, you gave the upgrade on
Yeah, pretty much.
Gold Avenue. We have an occupancy tax request from Hickory Legacy Foundation, and they're gonna put on some events at Hickory Hill, and the request is for up to $4,000, and it would be mostly for advertising. All our occupancy tax funds are not paid out until the receipts are received. So somebody wanna make a motion to approve this? John, second?
Second.
Second, John, any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. And next, I just need permission to attend the AATV meeting in Lake Placid on June 1st and 2nd.
For sure.
Motion by Brian, do we have a second?
Yep.
John, allow me to attend the AATV June 1st and 2nd at Lake Placid.
Sure.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried. Flatley Reed is the grant writers and the people who have done all our CBG grants, and they've done our Main Street grant. They've been highly successful. They're coming back and will submit 2 more grant applications. One would be more CDBG funding, and the second one would be for a mobile home replacement grant. And the cost to the town for them to apply for these grants would be $5,000. I think it's well worth the money we will spend, and they've been excellent. I mean, just plain excellent to work with. They do a lot of work on these grants, and they require a lot of paperwork. So I need a motion to approve this.
I'll make that motion.
Motion Brian,
Second.
second John. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Carried. Okay, resolution request bid on Richards Avenue crosswalk, and that would be AJ Catalfamo Construction Company from Hudson Falls. The bid price was $85,500, and they were the low bidder. So a motion to accept the bid.
So moved.
Brian?
Yep.
John?
Yep.
Discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay. Next is the seeking bids on resurfacing the basketball courts at the recreation field. We have 2 basketball courts. They really could use recycling or resurfacing. And so we just need permission to put out RFQ or an act.
So moved.
Motion by John, second by Brian. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. Okay, next, as KJ said in his report, we made a trip over to the, it's called the Upper Hudson River Management Area that's over on River Road. And it's actually closer to Luzerne than Warrensburg, but if you go down over Bailey Pond, you'll eventually get to this area. There's been a lot of concern over there for the last couple of years with traffic in and out. Luzerne runs from the Luzerne proper up to what they call the town line, where we take over. Our portion of the road, it's a dirt road, it's very narrow and it's very unsafe when they run these buses loaded with rafters. And it's become an issue. Last year they had people in the day area. They couldn't get emergency vehicles in and out of there. DEC's has approached us a couple of times. We had a meeting this winter with DEC in Luzerne, and then we went over the other day and met with DEC and the Forest Rangers. We are very limited in our section of the road what we can do because of you can't widen the road, you can't cut trees. They do work the road, they do bring some fill in. but it's still a problem. And we discussed that we discussed a lot of things with DEC, and I've talked it over with KJ, and I have a list of 3 things that I think we really ought to partake, and Jackie's gonna tell us what we need to do to get there. But I think my own personal opinion is we need a town ordinance to put a $125 fine on any no parking areas over there that will get people's attention. We also should request a speed limit on that road. It's a dirt road. In some areas, you go right by the ledge, and there's just no place to go, and it's very, very narrow. I would suggest that we're going to request 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. And the third thing, or we had a couple more things. They asked us if we would put no parking on the road. In order to put no parking signs up in our section of the road, it would cost around $3,000 just for parking signs. And I doubt the parking signs would stay up there. They'd probably get shot at, taken down, thrown in the river. So that isn't a good alternative, I didn't feel. And so we talked to the forest rangers, where's the toughest spot, and they would like us to put no parking around what they call the circle area, and I think that would be reasonable to put no parking there. And last but not least, the only way you're going to limit the travel that they block the road would be put a weight limit on the road. And we discussed the 8-ton weight limit that would eliminate school buses, but it would allow smaller van type vehicles if they wanted to get up there. Now, this will have an impact. Somewhat an impact on one of the tubing companies unless they move their put-in point further down in where it's opened up. Because what it does, the road comes from Luzerne and then it runs to Warrensburg, and that's the day area that we developed several years ago. Our highway guys went over there and worked with. It's also the day area where Ted Galusha had a handicap put in there, and if you remember that, right, this goes way back. We're limiting the day area use because you're blocking it with the rafters going in and out of there. And this would be my suggestion. I know there's certain things we have to do that Jackie is going to tell us what we have to do to make these things happen. I think this is the safest bet. This should allow free access in and out, at least to the day people. It may affect their tubers, or maybe the tubers can move down further towards Luzerne to drop their tubes in.
Who would enforce the no parking stuff?
The forest ranger said they would enforce it.
And they can't do that without posting that?
What are you gonna give a ticket for?
I'm just asking, they can't. if
Well,
someone's
you need a
on the
law.
road, they
You
can't
You need a
enforce
law, you need a law.
You need a local law.
Want to impose fines, you need a law, that's part of what I was gonna talk about. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the resolution to post the signs, but then what? We need a law to be able to impose fines and have a process that flows from that. Same thing, it's our opinion of law to impose those weight restrictions as well. So talked with Kevin about this earlier today. I have some more information that was included here tonight that will be helpful, and we can draft a local law for consideration.
Plus, we have to have a public hearing anyways on this.
For a local law, you would, yes, yeah.
Sounds good.
So,
No, it's fine. We're up against it with the state, with the EPA, so. This is the area known as buttermilk.
yeah,
So,
and we're very limited with what we can do, and I just want to cooperate with DEC and cooperate with the forest rangers. They'd like to make the area safer. And we're not going to widen the road. You're not going to stop them from blocking the road.
I think our day use people should come first
That's right.
versus, you know.
And it does get a lot of day use, I'm being told.
So the bus company, if they were able to downsize their vehicles, could still go there?
As long as they didn't block the road, I would assume.
Well, I'm just asking, I mean, cars.
I can't answer that. I don't know what they use. I can't
Yeah,
answer that.
I don't want to create something where it's going to discriminate against the business, you know? I mean, they have a right to go down there too, I would assume, right? Don't the business have a right to go there as well?
I don't know what you're asking about, the weight restriction on the vehicles? or
Yeah.
the-
Yeah, wouldn't that limit the,
I suppose if a business wanted to use it and they use a different vehicle.
Yeah, that would
just
limit
get a
the
different
bus-
vehicle.
the business for being able to go down there, correct?
This isn't a legal question. I don't, I think you have the right to regulate the weight of vehicles, if that's what you're asking. I think
Okay.
you have the right to regulate the weight of vehicles.
So what do we decide tonight?
Well, part of the problem, Bob, is that these buses are coming in.
I-
They take
I know, I
about, they
went
take
out
about
there and-
30 minutes to unload. So
Yeah.
they're blocking the whole road, and that's caused some aggravation.
Yeah, they go down to the circle, drop it off, they come back out and they park off to the side where there's a parking spot. So if it takes a half hour down to drop off and come back, I mean, they park, when they come out, from what I was looking at and I was talking to, they park, when they come back out with the bus, they park off to the side where there's plenty of room. So I'm just saying, you know,
It's the unloading.
It's the unloading. They tell me it takes 30, 40 minutes to unload one bus.
okay,
So is that what you're considering parking as well, and you don't want that occurring?
There won't be any parking there.
I think I need to better understand what you're considering
We're gonna,
prohibiting them. Would that?
they've asked us
Would
to,
that 30 to 40 minute unloading constitute parking in your opinion? Is that the concern?
that blocks the road.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at.
The buses block the road. We looked at it, I've looked at it twice, we went in there the other day, we looked at it, there's a little pull off, but they still block the road. And when you have two buses in there and they're unloading 30 to 40 minutes to unload the buses with all the people and all the rafting. So the only way to keep the day area open and keep traffic flowing, and their biggest thing was, it was a safety concern, they had an emergency in there and they couldn't get emergency vehicles in there. That's what the Rangers told us. And they're willing to police it for us.
Right, so you want to prohibit that parking and standing for those 30, 40 minute periods.
Yeah, and I've got to call into Kevin Hajos. If, I don't believe, talking to the people who do the signs all the time, that you can put one sign up at the beginning going in there and say at our town line said there's absolutely no parking on this road without posting a sign every 200 feet. That's what we're being told. We're still trying to confirm that. So, but that's what I'd like to start going, at least have the public hearing, get some of this stuff working. So,
Yeah.
so it's up to the board, which one.
Yeah, let's,
yeah, that works for me, yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
So we'll set a
So
public hearing.
we'll put a local law together.
Yep.
With that language. And then the major concern is that the emergency vehicle access can't
Yep.
get through at that time.
That's what we're basing it on.
Okay.
Lily sign.
Okay.
Okay? And that will set, when you agree to tell us, hopefully we could do it in June, but if we have to wait till July,
I think that's more realistic.
we can mention it to the companies. And I've been working in concert with Town of Luzerne too.
Yeah, and I think they've taken some steps already, if
Right.
I'm remembering.
Yeah. Okay, this next one, we have a discussion on changing zoning on two properties, one at 5 Grand Avenue and one at 2 Marion Avenue. And talking it over with the town attorney, she's asked that we ask the applicant to file a written application to us or the planning board.
No, it would be to you because what, I was provided with the letter that was sent to the town addressed to whom it may concern. And what it appears that this gentleman is asking for is in essence a rezoning of his property.
Yeah.
Which would require a change in the town zoning law, which only you folks can do. You're the only ones that can legislate for the town. And what he provided, in our opinion, is not sufficient for you to be able to make a decision. For instance, he doesn't indicate, he talks about very general terms, residential, commercial, he doesn't indicate what the property zone now, what he would like it changed to. And we think he needs to provide you more clear specifics on what he's asking you to rewrite your law to say. And then you're not required to approve it, it's again legislation. And we'd have some recommendations about how you process and analyze that request, like potentially getting input from the planning board regarding whether or not the proposed change is consistent with the comprehensive plan, for instance. So we think there's certainly some steps that should be taken before you consider
You're gonna have to help us with the language to this applicant.
to provide more direction. We can do that.
Okay. Next, I need to ask if the board will waive the transient merchant license fee on the Zaberni Family Circus to be, the performance to be held, June 22nd at the, Old Fairgrounds. And they are not for profit. They work for the Oriental Shrine Temple. And, the fee we're waiving would be $125.
Yes, we do every year.
Yeah.
I'll make it that.
Ryan and John to waive the fee for $125. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Okay. I think we're ready to start to work on a pole barn at the landfill. I think you have just is the base in now, Trace?
They showed up today,
Okay.
started laying stuff out.
Catalfo Construction out of Hudson Falls will be installing the pole barn at the landfill, and that will be hold the highway equipment. And I did talk to the foreman of the company, and they're hoping if they run any delays up there, they'll jump on the crosswalk down here at Richards Avenue. So hopefully both of those projects will be done by July. But we waited a long time to get the crosswalk in this pole barn. Pole barn will be partially paid for by a SAM grant from Assemblyman Simpson's office. So that's it. Does anybody wish to address the board tonight before we move on?
Hi, my name is Sarah Gebby Misek. I'm on the Board of Trustees for the Richards Library. We just finished up our 2024 annual report, and I brought copies for everyone, but the water bottle in my car leaked all over me, so we're kind of a little limp right now. It'll dry out. Just wanted to let you know we had over 10,000 patrons visit the library in 2024. We started offering the Warrensburg Repair Cafe. We did.
I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was in the Sun recently. We've had a blood drive. We had our anniversary open house last summer. We're offering technology classes for older adults. We have a seed library, which as a gardener, I'm pretty fond of. And there's a full report on the back from our director of a lot of the things we did. I'll leave a copy here. But
Yeah, if you get it here, or have her email it, because then we'll put it on our website.
Yeah. And you can always go to our website and you can see past year's annual reports and anything else you might want to be looking for. And I wanted to thank you for the letter of support. We are replacing the chimney cap, or trying to get funding to replace it. It is over 100 years old. Everything on the outside of the library is over 100 years old. So I'm also looking at funding to do all of the masonry and to fix a front crack step that we have. So if you notice anything about historic preservation funding, send it my way. I'm always looking for funds. And the budget vote for the school is coming up on May 20th. The library's budget is on their ballot. We're not exceeding the 2% tax cap. So I just really encourage everyone to vote for the library and to just go there and vote. It's always good when the citizens have a say in the school and the library's budget. So.
All right, appreciate
Thank you.
it. Thank you. We have one budget modification tonight. We're taking $3,000 out of contingent and we're transferring into Parks, health insurance and comp, and then both, and one is the landfill. And this is because we have 2 employees who now are opted out of our health insurance coverage. So we'll be saving some money. We only pay them $1,500 instead of paying the premium. So a motion to modify the budget. John, second by Brian. Discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Say that 40 times.
Yeah.
All right, the board warrants for tonight. Total claims are $297,997.06. Majority of that is to pay for the stormwater project on Gold Avenue. That bill is $162,794. That's not the complete cost of the project, but that takes us a good way through the project. And like we said, we have a little restoration work finish up over there. And once we get that done, we're going to move on to the next project, which will be the pole barn and then the crosswalk. And then we'll move on to the next project. I think we got some water projects we're going to try to do next. So, a motion to approve warrant number 5. Robert, second?
I'll second it.
Second, Brian. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. By saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Any public comments or announcements tonight? Anybody wish to address the board? None? Seeing none, motion to adjourn.
Go there.
I want to say something.
Okay,
I want to touch base real quick. Couple of things. I want to welcome Pete back to work. And I'd like to quickly talk a little bit about the emergency medical service contract. We still don't have a new one, a current one. I guess we're still working under the old one. They're supposed to be reporting to us every month. And right now, we've just got 3 months of balance sheet and really got just basic information. There's no detail or nothing in it. We don't have any current fees and what they're charging, unless they're charging exactly what it's in the first contract. We need to get this moving. We need to get a contract and we need to get them to report to us like they said they're supposed to do. That's all.
thank you. Anybody else? Motion to adjourn.
Thank you for good night, everyone.
Well, they're is if you're only charging 6% of your CSEA people, that's not. But that's okay. Everybody, most of the
Sarah?
contracts.
Hey.
Yeah, this was the driest one.
That's not.
I know, I was trying to do it. You want me to email you one too?
I wouldn't stress it. Yeah.
And you got all three.
Yeah, I think I sent
When you tell you when you charge for the county, you don't get.
Okay.
Sweetheart.
Oh, that's fine. Medicare, you can be able to Japanese.
Let's shut off, Tracy. Tracy.
There you go.
Don't get me in there.
Did that shut off?
I,
I'm just gonna hit end again.
Shelley,